we will go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Aging in Place Week 2020, our second of our 4 live presentations for this week. If you missed the opening presentation, you can access it on NAIPC-TV on YouTube. It is one of 28 presentations that we'll be sharing with you all throughout the week. You can still register for our events that are coming up on ageinplace.org. or subscribe to NAIPC-TV on YouTube and watch it live that way. So I know we have a lot of great information to share today, so I am just going to turn it right over to Joel and let you get started. So Joel and Mark, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Tara. Thanks so much for inviting Mark and me to participate in today's live event. We're very excited to be here representing the Midwest. I'm zooming in from Chicago, and Mark is in Milwaukee. And we are here today to share a little bit about our perspective and what we're seeing about the role of technology and what different types of technology products and services are emerging, which help us serve and support older adults, particularly those who want to remain in their homes and stay safe and stay engaged and making the most of their health and living experience. What we have seen over the years, both Mark and I have experience with not only technology, but also home care services and supporting older adults in their homes. And what we're seeing, particularly in recent years, is a much more dramatic shift in the functionality, in the capability, and in the possibility of integrating technology and services to support older adults in their homes. And so we thought we would use this opportunity today to give you some insight into some of the main areas where we're seeing the most significant change. Certainly we could have done this presentation in January, and in many ways it would have been a different conversation. What we've seen over the last 7, 8, 9 months is in many ways it's illustrated and illuminated both the potential of where we are as a society to support older adults in their homes, and also what still needs to be adapted and distributed, and in terms of educating and helping people connect better and utilize these services. So what we thought we'd do today, we've got a couple core slides. I'm gonna kind of tee it off to Mark and let him talk specifically about a couple key areas. And then we'll make it sort of an interactive type session. I have some questions for him that I've prepared, and then we'll see if there's any other questions that come from those who are viewing the webinar, and then we'll take it from there. So I think with that, I'm gonna hand it off to Mark and let him introduce himself, and we'll go from there.
Wonderful. Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to help out. So I just want to give you certainly a little bit of background so you all know that I'm speaking the same language as everybody. I had in-home care agencies for about 10 years. We had about 250 caregivers going into people's homes, providing about 4,000 hours a week of care. So during that time, saw this huge gap in technology in the house. And as we had our client care coordinators come back to the office and say, nobody knows what's going on. And it was very frustrating. And we, when I say we have 500 clients or so, we really had about 1,500 because we had adult children and siblings and everybody else on the block calling us, hey, how's Mary? What's her blood pressure? What's her glucose? Did she eat today? Did she, where'd she go? And we would always say, I have no idea. Literally, most of the time we had no idea. And there had to be a better way. And so I scoured the earth for technology at the time to help figure this stuff out and to really be an extra set of eyes and ears in the homes that we were in, and couldn't find any that were not already, you know, they were reactive, right? Someone pressed their I fallen but I can't get up button after a catastrophic event already happened, rather than trying to figure out how we can prevent that event from happening to begin with. So what I did was I sold everything and raised a bunch of venture capital money and developed my own product. And it's actually not being talked about in this presentation because we're in the middle of a potential acquisition and I really can't talk about it. The product is called OnCall. It's ONKOL, and you'll find it at oncall.net if you're interested in taking a look. But basically what it is, it's a product that it basically takes information from activities of daily living sensors, motion, smoke, fall detection, pressure mats, bed mats, toilet flushing, all these other kind of things for activities of daily living, as well as vitals monitoring, weight, blood pressure, glucose, all those kind of products, and gives the information to the circle of care when they need it. And during that time, I obviously was doing my due diligence on competition and found that became very quickly on the market dozens of great products. And instead of excluding those from our portfolio, I said, let's welcome all these wonderful products into the portfolio so that we can help people. Maybe if OnCall wasn't the right price point, there's other things that are available, and there's some great products out there that nobody really knows about because the information isn't readily available. And the ability to get involved on that last mile where the wheels fall off the bus. You can imagine an adult child ordering these products for their parents. They get drop shipped to their front porch. They have no idea what to do with them. So they either keep them in the box, they return them, or they sit under the bed unplugged, or they sit on top of the counter unplugged and they have no idea what's going on. So where we come in is we do the complete assessment like we did with our in-home care agency, but instead of figuring out that Mrs. Smith needs a caregiver that makes a great omelet, we're saying, you know, Mrs. Smith needs technology that has automatic fall detection or whatever it might be. And then we deliver, we install, we train, and we make sure everyone knows what's going on. So that's sort of our differentiation of what we do. And that's why we're exposed to all these wonderful products, and we can actually get people down that last mile that they really need to get down. So that's a little bit of a background of what I'm about and what my background is. So you know that, again, we're speaking the same language on this stuff. So today we're going to talk about three really main topics, right? Falls, remote caregiving, and social isolation, and wandering. And so these are all very, very important topics to discuss, and there's great technology that covers all of them. And I'll just jump right in. Joel, unless you have something else you want to add. No? All right. So again, that's just the background of our company. So really there are a total of 6 technology categories as far as I'm concerned. You've got remote caregiving, you've got chronic care management, when people have comorbidities that they're trying to deal with. You've got active seniors that are out and about, but still need to have that peace of mind when they're on the golf course or wherever they might be. If something happens, they can have access to the EMS with GPS locations that know where they are. Then we obviously have fall detection and prevention. You have emergency response in general, and then social isolation products. I think we all have an understanding of the importance of fall detection and prevention. You know, when you say 1 in 4 Americans age 65 falls each year, every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the emergency room for a fall, and every 19 minutes, someone dies from a fall. I mean, that's just catastrophic. And these are all preventable when you have the right things in place, whether that's caregiving, with a combination of technology. Falls are absolutely the leading cause of fatal injury and the most common cause of non-fatal trauma-related hospital admissions among older adults. The number of injuries and deaths are astronomical. The cost of this is insane. In 2015, I mean, these are old, this is an old number, and it was 50 billion that year. And Medicaid shouldered 75% of those costs. So, you know, they were projecting by 2020, 67, almost $68 billion because of falls. So anyway, so we're talking about a huge impact, both emotionally and economically and physically for the circle of care and the hospital systems and Medicare that has to shoulder the burden of all of this. And there's no doubt that there's a way to prevent at least a portion of these falls. And there's great products that can help do that. So you can see that there are products out there today that certainly can help people react and even prevent these falls from happening. So some of them are really cool, and I'm going to use my cursor to sort of circle each one that I'm talking about. This product up here is a watch, and I actually have it on. I'll take it off so that I can show it to you easier, but it's cool looking, right? I don't mind wearing it, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be falling over anytime soon when I wear it. So you have the pulse. You've got steps I took today. Obviously, I'm working from my home office today. I haven't walked very much. Battery level, and then press and hold for an emergency call. So you see I'm swiping on this screen, but you can also easily get to these screens by actually turning the crown. And so again, when the grandson or granddaughter can say, "Hey, grandma, grandpa, that's a really cool watch you have on. What's the story with that?" They think it's cool too, right? And so they're not embarrassed to wear it. It reduces that barrier to get this thing on someone's wrist. So if something does happen, they have the ability to call. There's a two-way voice. These are cellular. It goes right to an emergency call center for that two-way voice conversation. If there's no response, they'll send EMS right to where the location is. There's also a portal online that the family can get to so that they can see the pulse and the steps and the location of where the person is, and the battery level and everything, so they can see the historical data too. If you can imagine, if mom's if you see her walking 2,500 steps a day, and all of a sudden she's walking 40, guess what? Call mom. There's something going on, right? Or call your client or your resident and see what's going on. Maybe they're not feeling that well today. It's a very good indication that something's happening. And if there is a decline and you intervene, because someone didn't step that many steps today, maybe there was a decline that could lead to a catastrophic fall that you just prevented. So that's just one example of one product. This product over here in the top right is passive fall detection. You can see this panel right here is actually radar. So you put it on the wall and you plug it in and it scans the room. Usually would be put in a master bathroom, and there's no pendant even needed. It knows when you're vertical or horizontal, and it alerts the proper people, the caregivers in the circle of care, that something happened, and it can also dispatch EMS. These are motion sensors, and you can name them for each room, so that, and the base actually has a motion as well. So you can name it kitchen, family room, den or laundry room or whatever, and it has an app that you can see there that actually shows the person when the person moved around in that room last. If there was a fall, you can do all sorts of different check-ins and all sorts of really unbelievable things with that product. This product down here actually has automatic fall detection. You can turn on or off, and it's very rare that these automatic fall detections are great. This one happens to be relatively good, and you can actually modify the sensitivity of the fall detection based on the person's habits. It also has GPS location. It has a geofence for wandering. So if someone breaks that geofence, the caregiving, so the circle of care will get an email, a text with a map of where the person actually is. This product does the same thing, just a little bit bulkier, a little bit bigger than this product. These can be worn as pendants or as a sort of a watch type deal. This one actually has one for your belt loop as well. This product here comes in two different pieces. The smaller one is a small pendant for around the wrist that doesn't need to be ever charged, which is a huge upside because people forget to charge them. Then what good is it, right? It has one of those batteries from a watch that goes in it. And then this piece is where the brains of the operation are. That can go in a pocket or a purse. It has two-way voice, geofencing, the PERS press on there, and also the ability to send it through an app. You can send it voice messages, and you can do it on a recurring basis. So you can imagine the senior has their daughter or their granddaughter even saying, "Hey, grandma, it's time to take your medication. Don't forget." And at a specific time every day or multiple times throughout the day. So that each one of these has little nuances to it. This is pretty obviously, it's Alexa. If I say it too loud, mine's gonna wake up. But it's interesting because off-the-shelf Alexa doesn't allow you to call for an emergency. This product does, and they open their own call center, which is really great. And it also has all the other skill sets or skills that Alexa can do with the option, the additional functionality of a call center. And this is actually the same panel as up in the top right, but this is just what it looks like alone. And again, two-way voice, automatic fall detection, no pendant needed. This is very similar to the Alexa products. It comes with a watch. It works inside or outside the home. So fall prevention and detection is a huge category of products, and these are just a few that are available, but some of them are really, really cool.
So Mark, just before you move on that space, because traditionally when you talk about technology and older adults, what does everybody think of? I've fallen and I can't get up, and the limitations of this really ugly but functional technology that nobody wants to adapt because it's a continuous reminder that I'm not what I used to be, and I want to keep that away for as long as possible. So I wonder if you can just talk about it, and you've kind of already alluded to it, but we've seen a big shift in both the look and feel of the technology and the sort of aspirational components of this type of technology. I just wonder if you can speak to your experience a little bit about adoption, right? In the past, people with the PERS devices, they would leave them on their bedside, so they wouldn't be available when they were needed. But what we're seeing now in the big shift is these are actually things that people are proud to wear or at least are willing to have in their homes. Is that not right?
Is absolutely right. And when you look at just the top two products, as well as the Alexa product, I mean, these are things that don't look ugly in the house, first of all. And the watches are a no-brainer. When I give people options and they see these watches, they're like, absolutely send me that one. That's the one I want. I don't want anyone to see that I'm frail at all or that, I might have any issues. So the aesthetics of these pieces are very important to people. If they're not, they're not, and they'll do, they'll wear whatever they want to wear. But for anyone with any situation where they say, you know what, I'd really rather have it look nice if I have a choice, these things are available. The other thing about at least this product up in the top right, it's voice activated. You're wearing nothing. And if something happens to the house, you just say emergency, like twice, and it will literally initiate the call to the call center. You have a two-way voice call that has a huge range in the house. It gets very loud. And the ability to do voice activation is so easy for a senior. People say, oh, seniors are so afraid of new technology. Well, if you approach it correctly, they're not. If you approach it in the way that, this is going to be a simple thing for you to do, they're so willing to learn, and they get excited about it. There's with the Alexa products, and again, this is not Alexa off the shelf. This is a separate company that we work with that happens to use Alexa products. They have a 90-year-old gentleman that gives a testimonial that he uses his suite of products, his Alexa-based products, over 70 times a day, right? It's his companion. What time is it? What's the weather? What's the latest news? Play my favorite Frank Sinatra song, call Betty, all these things, just voice activated. It's so easy for them to do. All they have to remember is to say Alexa first. And it says that's the wake up word, and they just learn. And it makes it just so cool that they can, and you'll see that this shows up on the social isolation page later, but it brings the world to them, especially if they're homebound. There's so many things that they can do. And if they're bedbound, they can have an Alexa dot in their room and an Alexa dot in the kitchen. And if there's a caregiver in the kitchen, they can say, drop into the kitchen, and it will, and they can use it as a two-way communication. Then they don't have to scream across the house or use a baby monitor or a bell or whatever they're doing now. It brings them into this century. And there's so much functionality. Turn on my lights, turn off my lights, turn up the volume, turn down the volume, turn up the heat, turn down the heat, all with their voice. It's amazing what can be done. And these products, it seems, are developed for, younger people, but there's so much functionality that can be used for age in place technology that it's phenomenal. I hope I answered your question. Yeah, okay. So again, when we're talking about remote caregiving, especially now, right, it's very difficult for people to visit. We're having another explosion of COVID in Wisconsin. I have a feeling we're in for another shutdown here soon, but this current climate that we're in has really forced this into the limelight, that you can do a lot of these things remotely. So whether you're from a community and are limited how often your interactions can be with the residents, or you're helping families navigate their visits, this has gone off the charts, obviously. And there are absolutely ways to manage this. Again, the communities need safety measures in place, obviously. And the adult children want more access. So let's give it to them. Let's make this transparent and make it easier for them to talk to their loved ones and video chat with them. The Alexa product has something called Show, where it's a little tablet that is so easy to use, it's ridiculous. To have those two-way video chats with their kids or their doctor or the nurse, whoever it might be. And if you have an independent side, it's even more important because these people can't get out, and people can't get in. So these products are extremely important for people. So the remote caregiving, again, you're going to see some of these duplicated, obviously, because they do cross over. But the things that you have not seen, and you're going to see this again in chronic care management, this product here communicates with a PERS pendant you'll see right here. So for emergencies, it also connects via Bluetooth to many, many different vitals monitoring devices, whether that's blood pressure, weight, spirometers, temperature, glucose, pulse ox, all of it, and dumps into a portal that you can see historically what's going on. And we can enter threshold numbers so that if they do breach those on one way or the other, people can get notified. And again, take action before a catastrophic event happens. If someone breaches their weight and they have CHF, something bad's going to happen. I guarantee it. So you get to intervene early and often with these kind of readings. Someone with a glucose reading that's too high, it goes, it breaks the threshold. Someone's notified, the care manager's notified, or whoever it might be. Make that call to Mrs. Smith. Hey, Mrs. Smith, what's going on with your glucose reading? I see it's out of whack today. Even with the motion sensors in the bathroom, maybe there's all of a sudden 4 or 5 visits to the bathroom at night. Well, and I hate to sound this way, but it's not rocket science. This could be a UTI that's developing, right? So if you don't know that there's usually a 1 bathroom visit per night that's all of a sudden 4 or 5, either that person has food poisoning, a UTI, or they're just not feeling well in general. So make that outbound call, reach out to that person and say, hey, Mrs. Smith, you feeling okay? You don't have to say, hey, we saw you went to the bathroom 5 times last night. What's going on? You say, hey, how are you feeling today? You know that they're going to say they're not feeling well. And if they do say they're feeling okay, you know they're not being truthful with you, and you can intervene anyway, right? So a lot of these things it's just a matter of having the right technology in the right place at the right time to get this information that you can use. This product down here is for communities and homes, and you'll see what's going on here is contact tracing. With this product, you have the wristlet, and that it does have automatic fall detection, 2-way voice, GPS location, and also they put beacons all around the community, and it all works off the Wi-Fi. And each wristlet is dedicated to a specific resident and to each specific caregiver on that shift. So if Jane Smith winds up with COVID, they can dive into this within 4 seconds, know exactly who Jane Smith was next to, for how long, who she walked by, whose room she was in, who she was eating next to in the cafeteria, how much time she spent in the bathroom, all these things. And then it basically draws a map for you for all these people that she had contact with, takes contact tracing down to literally 4 seconds. And so that's the COVID version of what they came up with, but this has been around before COVID. They just altered the documentation so that people can do that contact tracing. It's an amazing, amazing product. But it does all the other stuff too, right? Fall detection and 2-way voice and all the other interesting things it does. Again, fall detection is all the same in here. There is a great product called MedMinder that people literally can get online, that you can get the pharmaceuticals dispensed in the exact pill packs that it requires. It has medication reminders. It has a PERS functionality. If something does happen, they can still reach out for emergencies, those kind of things too. So that's a wonderful product as well. Any questions or insights on that?
Mark, I just wanted to highlight with remote caregiving, given both of our experiences in the home care world and sort of where those trends are going, particularly with home care in most parts of the country now either approaching or already over $30 an hour, and many home care agencies moving to 6, 8, 10-hour minimum shifts, that's not the type of caregiving service that many people are going to want and need. And as a result, there's an opportunity for many families to have some support and be able to get some data that might be able to not only prevent certain calamities and disasters, but also help provide some information regarding what and when their loved ones need more support. So I think this is really one of the big opportunities as care develops in care to the home. There are a lot of people, a lot of families who are only going to need a little bit of help for now. And those people are not currently customers for our traditional home care industry.
Exactly.
So this is really an emerging area, not only for helping people stay in their homes and minimize their costs, it also might allow them to hire care agencies in a more pinpointed manner. And for home care agencies then to figure out how can they secure new types of clients, even if they don't meet those minimum shift requirements that so many of them are starting to deploy.
Perfect.
Have you seen that play out in any other ways? Has that emerged in any other the conversations that you're having with in the marketplace?
Absolutely. It's bang on. And I just got off the phone literally, which is why I was running I wanted to be on a little earlier than I was. But a potential customer just, they've got in-home care in the house. There's 168 hours in a week, right? And, if someone could get those hours covered at a more reasonable cost, certainly they would, but there's not that option, right? So mom's home alone at night because 24/7 care is $3,000 a week. Trust me, I know, because I had plenty of 24/7 clients when I owned my agencies. And, there's just blocks of time where this type of technology can add the extra eyes and ears and insights that are needed, and it's affordable. I mean, this stuff is, I think the most expensive thing I have is like, $400 for the hardware, plus some peripherals, whatever it might be. Most of it's under 200, and then it ranges anywhere from $49 to $79 a month, not an hour, right? And so while we're never going to replace a caregiver, right? That in-person, when you can, in-person touch, right? We can augment that, and we can improve the viability of this whole ecosystem that can help someone age in place with some dignity and respect too, that they deserve. So it doesn't have to be this ugly, big red thing on their wall that says emergency, press here kind of thing. Some of these things are really, they're cool. Does that make sense?
Great.
All right. So brings us to social isolation. I mean, this is just, you don't see a news brief at all without someone talking about people that are in communities or at their home that are trying to, that are aging, that are left out there in the dark, basically. And social isolation is a huge reason for depression and drug addiction and who knows what else, right? That because people are really, really alone. And when we have, we're even talking about, impaired executive functions and accelerated cognitive decline, especially if there's, beginning stage of dementia involved. We're seeing just acceleration all across the board on the decline for these situations. So when we can intervene with technology and make this a better world for these people, there's so many upsides. And again, you're going to see this very similar products here again, but I can't emphasize enough that there's such cool products out there that are readily available and very affordable for all parties concerned, to offer that ability for that senior to bring the world in to where they are, and for them to reach out as well. And whether that's, caption phones, which I don't actually have on here, there's a program through the Americans with Disabilities Act that people can get literally free caption phones. And I'll send out any information that anyone wants. I'm a distributor for them, but they're free. They're literally free. The ADA pays for it. No hardware costs, no software costs. And you can imagine the ability for someone that has an hearing impairment that are already isolated because of that, and then it's magnified by COVID. These people are alone. They can't talk on the phone without screaming, and they can't hear to begin with. and then no one can come see them also. So the caption phones are a game changer for people. It is literally looks like a tablet basically attached to a phone, and it scrolls what the other side of the conversation is having. And it's like 98% accurate because they literally have transcribers transcribing the other side. And it is a game changer. And I can tell you it's free 100 times, and people will still say, well, how much does it cost? How could it be free? Well, it's free because it's through the ADA. So that product alone can change someone's life. And if you know anyone that has a hearing impairment, reach out to me. I'll get you the link. You order them, it gets drop shipped. There are installation people all over the country that can help get these things installed. It's very simple to do, by the way, too. Most people can just self-install it. You need a hard line, hard phone line, and Wi-Fi, and that's it. And some of the phones are even available without the need for Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi makes it all more accurate and quick and everything else. But I think a lot of the homes right now have Wi-Fi. But for those that don't, there's options for that as well. So that really, for social isolation, there's a million things that we can do. I think that people just need to come to the point, come to grips with the fact that there are things out there that they can use to help people. And that really covers at least what I had to initially talk about, but obviously we can open it up, and Joel, feel free to chime in and help and get involved here too.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I wonder if you can just speak about some of the areas that you think are also starting to emerge. So anything that has been sort of highlighted most recently. A lot of these technologies have been released just in the last couple of years, but are there any sort of new fronts that people should be aware of, both from a professional standpoint, those people who are already serving older adults, or those people who have older adults in their lives that they're trying to think about what else is possible, or what else should we be thinking about moving to more of a kind of smart home technology?
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, I think that most of it's going to be related to the infrastructure, right? So when you see Elon Musk launching satellites all over the world that can cover rural areas with internet, that it's a very fast internet, that's going to change everything, right? And so when people can bring high-speed internet and Wi-Fi to more remote homes, it's going to be a game changer, and a lot of the products will follow suit, and it'll even become more prolific, where you have these wonderful products available because everyone can have access to the infrastructure side. At this point, with 4G and now coming 5G, most of the products are improving their connectivity because with 2 and 3G, it just wasn't there, and now it is. And so you're going to see more and more products that rely on that infrastructure that is improving nationally by the day. And when you see passive devices like the panel that I was talking about, that was developed in Israel by the Israeli Defense Department for radars for fighter jets, right? Well, then they figured out, okay, what else can we do with this little radar chip? And they said, oh, well, maybe we can find studs behind walls, which is really the first offshoot that there was. And then they said, well, if we can see through walls and we can see a stud, well, can we see if someone's standing or if they fell? And that's how it evolved. So a lot of these products are going to evolve over time. When I came out with OnCall, it was early. I mean, we were way ahead of our time, and people had no idea what remote monitoring was at that point, and there weren't enough peripherals to attach. And then all of a sudden, as things happen, and all of a sudden people say, oh, baby boomers are getting older, and there's this silver tsunami, and they follow the money, right? And so more and more devices are being developed, and I think that the price points are great. I think that this will all follow, and we're just going to see some amazing products over the next few years.
So the biggest thing that we typically see with serving older adults, and I've certainly experienced it being involved in the Village to Village network and getting people to join something that is aging related, is the people that are older are always 10 years older than where the people are at that point. And so we have this sort of definition of the not ready yets. And that really plays into account with adoption of technologies. So I think it's worth exploring how to overcome the objection of that's all well and good, but I don't need that now. I'm not ready yet for that type of technology. That seems to be the big leap that we as a society need to help in the distribution and adoption of these new technologies. Does that lend itself to anything that you're seeing in trying to bring these technologies together? It can be a pretty cluttered, complex world, and that's part of what makes people willing to avoid the adoption, from my experience.
Yeah, and I think so that really when form meets function, right? When you can say, oh, this cool watch, it's just a watch until you need it for something else, then I think people are more apt to adopt it. And again, the aesthetics are a huge thing. There's more and more companies coming out with some really nice looking stuff. There's companies looking to actually embed this technology in jewelry. Whether you have a nice lapel pin or something else that can also be biometrics, it takes your heartbeat and you wind up with an EKG out of it, right? And so a lot of the things, I know Apple obviously is doing a huge, they're doing great with it, but their stuff's expensive. You get a cellular watch from Apple, it's close to $500 by the time you're done, and it's confusing for people. So there's a big difference between something simple like this and an Apple Watch with all the apps and all the stuff you have to do and all the, you need your grandchild to make sure that it's configured properly and everything like that. So there's going to have to be a happy medium between form and function. And if someone as they come up with more devices like this that are easy to use, they're simple to use, and they're not, people don't have to be intimidated by them. I think that's going to be a huge leap forward, and it's coming, it's here.
Excellent. Let's just also spend a little bit of time talking about the issue of what does this all cost? How to help people frame it within a context. And you've made some references already in comparison to 24/7 care over the course of a week or a month or a year is in many ways well beyond what people can even conceptualize. So what are the sort of ways people can kind of look at this as not only affordable, but actually of great value in comparison to what else is available to them right now?
Right. I think it's really important to talk about this. And, my grandma always says cheap is expensive. She did anyway. And it's true. And you get what you pay for. So the off the shelf, I fall but I can't get up buttons that are just the button. The connectivity sometimes isn't great. The two-way voice, if it has it, is horrible on the real cheap imitation devices is what I call them. In order to get something that has great connectivity, the GPS, fall detection if you need it, the call center connectivity, the ability to alert the circle of care via texts and all the other things that you can do, and have a map pop up on your smartphone. All of these things, listen, the more technology that's pushed, that's shoved into these devices, the more expensive they're going to be. But we're not talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. We're talking about things that are maybe a couple $100. And the monthly, again, anywhere from $49 to $79 is in that same range as the off-the-shelf stuff that you're used to seeing maybe in CVS or Walgreens or on a 2 o'clock in the morning infomercial, right? That there's functionality for almost the same price that far exceeds what people are used to. Like I call it your grandma's follow, this isn't your grandma's following you, I can't get up button. This is, the technology is so much better now. So price and anything you compare to, dozens of hours of in-home care. Listen, like I said, we're never going to replace in-home care. We're never going to replace the need for people to move into a community when they're ready. And the attributes of all of those things are there for sure. We're just here to give those communities and those in-home care agencies extra eyes and ears so that they can really understand a holistic view of what's going on with that person and what's going on in that home. Whether that home is an independent living, assisted living, or in their own independent home, still away from a community. There's ways for us to gather this information together, really come up with a great care plan that is based on real facts and data. I always tell in-home care agencies, if someone says, listen, my mom's just not ready for care, we're not ready as a family. Okay, well, let's put something in the house that's actually giving us some data about what's happening with mom. So if something does happen, we can alert, or you can be alerted. And then down the road, maybe it's 3-6 months down the road, that agency can then go back to that family and say, hey, you know what? We've seen that there's some issues going on. Maybe it is time to get some caregivers in now. When the family lives in California and the person's in Virginia, they're talking to them, but they don't see what's going on. That's why typically in the in-home care agency world, everyone's business shot through the roof right after every holiday, because the adult children were going to that home and they were like looking around going, oh my God, what is going on here? Old stuff in the fridge, dust balls underneath the table, dirty laundry. There's all sorts of just obvious glaring reasons that would be able to tell people in a periodic, visit every few months what's going on. But sometimes these things change very rapidly, especially if there's health conditions, whether that's CHF or a UTI or whatever it might be, that really can change things dramatically very quickly and wind up with a huge catastrophe if they're not watched closely.
Great. Thank you. I think it would be helpful. I'm not seeing questions in the chat, but if there's anybody that has a question or a comment that's here on the Zoom, we can open it up for a little bit and see if there's some other things worth exploring at this point. Are you seeing anything, Tara, on the online piece?
I do not see any questions in the box, no. Oh, Ferdy has raised his hand though. Hi, Ferdy.
Hey, how are you guys? Can you hear me okay? First of all, great presentation, Mark. I think you're speaking my language, let's put it this way. Coming from the world of PERS, having a background with Lifeline for the last 2 decades, I certainly can attest to a lot of the things that you said. And and I think that for the most part, people who are in this business, obviously see the mission and see the value. But the biggest struggle that we've always had, even after spending 20 years at Lifeline, is really the adaptability, like Joel alluded to. Certainly the cost factor plays into it. And, but, on the flip side, I think that technology has, been progressing also, that would allow a lot more people now to be a little bit more mobile with a lot of the things that you presented in there, because, I think a lot more individuals that are coming of age, especially as we all get, a little bit older and, we may not be homebound, we still want to be able to get around. A lot of these new technologies that are coming about with cellular technology, satellite-based GPS, would allow some of these folks to kind of provide them with that, mobility, so that they're not always stuck at home. So even if there was something that happened at home or beyond the home, outside their own premises, they can still rely on something that they can call on for help. So I just really just wanted to comment on a lot of the things that you said, because, this to me is something that I've looked at and watched for many, many years. As my friend Joel there can attest, including Tara, I've done a presentation as well with the NAIPC and in a lot of different types of technologies. And I think you're doing a really good job. And I'm glad there's somebody else just like me that is in this space.
Appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ferdy. Is there any area that you've seen, Ferdy, that we didn't mention that jumps out at you as a sort of emerging area of opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's, still a lot to be had with medication management solutions. I know you alluded to the MedMinder, as I saw in the bottom corner. Looked at also a company called Hero, which is another pill dispenser. And I don't know if you've seen the technology from Stanley Black & Decker called Pillow, of course, that now comes with a two-way camera that can identify more than just one user. So if you're familiar with the original MD2, which was now the Philips medication dispenser, while it can provide you with that level of adherence as well as the reporting aspect of it, I think the fact that more and more people are now, aging in place a little bit longer, and there may be more than just one person that's involved. Devices similar to like the Pillow that can actually detect via facial recognition as to who's taking the meds, right? What time and what type of medication, I think is something that is emerging that will help a lot, more and more people, not just the elderly. If you have chronic conditions, and if you have to take lots of medications throughout the course of the day, it certainly will help you stay in place a little bit longer and even stay healthier if you can manage your meds the right way, right?
Yeah, compliance is just incredibly important, and any physician or I mean, it's the amount of compliance that is going on is pitiful, to be honest with you. And it's why there's so many health conditions that are chronic and getting worse, because if you can't remember to take your meds and you're on the meds for a specific reason, I'm speaking to the choir, obviously, but.
And then the last thing would be the aspect of utilizing telehealth technology. I mean, I saw you also showcase some of these devices that are now, some of them are more agnostic than others that can allow for other devices to integrate with the main hub. You're probably going to see more and more of that, especially now in this pandemic age that we're in. I see a lot of doctors utilizing telehealth technologies to minimize, exposure and at the same time be more efficient, right, in the way they care for people remotely.
For sure.
Great stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Freddie. And I think there's just a broad shift of how money is being spent to react to a number of different things. And so much of that could be reallocated. Mark alluded to the fall detection, fall prevention. I think that the costs are overwhelming in terms of what is the effect of falls and then the cascading reaction to that. All the things that happen result. If we can take some of those funds that are spent by Medicare to address the issues of falls and all the consequences that come from them, we could redeploy technology and use and invest in a different way. And that's really what I'm hoping that we're going to see coming out of this quarantine is a sort of a new willingness to reimagine how we spend money in order to use that money more wisely and serve people better. All that will only improve the quality of care and improve the quality of life for not only the older adults, but those who care and love them. So I think that's really the big opportunity as we go forward. If anybody has any other questions and want to highlight that while we're still on here, otherwise our emails are on this at the end of this, at the end of the presentation. I want to thank Mark for your presentation and for your expertise. And Tara, thank you for the opportunity to come on today and talk about this subject that I think has a lot of upside and a lot of possibility.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Joel, thank you. Mark, thank you.
Good stuff.
Great.
Thank you. So I hope if you all enjoyed the presentation, you'll share it with your seniors and your other senior professionals. I'll send the link out to everyone that's on here. We also have 2 more presentations on Thursday. The Orange County chapter is presenting what to do when your paychecks end on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then the one and only Joel is hosting our closing panel as well on Thursday afternoon. It's noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern time. And that topic is planning to age in place, where, when, and how to start. So I hope to see you there and at some of our future NAIPC events. So thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Tara.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
everybody. Bye-bye.